Plus, Cocoa Board introduces incentives to encourage youth cocoa production. We have details of these and many more stories coming up shortly. Please do stick and stay. Welcome once again to the bulletin. We start from here. Well, the Eastern South Police Command has arrested a Nigerian national suspected of murder who was hiding out in Achimwenchi. The suspect is alleged to have murdered a road safety officer and her daughter in Nigeria before fleeing into Ghana to evade arrest. Well, the Eastern South Commander DCOP Ohinibwedi Bosman says the suspect will be processed and handed over to security authorities in Nigeria for further investigation and prosecution. Well, our correspondent Yvonne Nico is joining us with more details on this. Yvonne, how does the police service intend to collaborate with other agencies to track such undocumented immigrants?
Well, Juliet, for a while now, we've seen quite a number of immigrants pouring into the country, especially in host communities. Several of these immigrants are coming from the West African sub-region, meaning Nigerians, Nigerians, name them, all coming in to do mining. But this particular one is an issue of a fugitive who was allegedly committed murder. But the first thing is, how does the police intend to deal with them, especially when many of them are not documented and coming in through our porous borders? DCOP George Ohinibwedi says, in collaboration with the immigration officers and other allied bodies, they intend to crack down on them, especially intensifying the investigative department and its intelligence police to ensure that such incidents don't happen. We would have to listen to him.
Suspect Victor Benjamin Fujumil Kum, 26 years, was arrested based on an interception of a viral video, which it was being alleged that he has adopted and murdered a lady who works with the Road Safety Corps, that is FRSC, and her daughter in Abeokuta, Ogun State in Nigeria. The suspect was wanted by the Nigeria police, but he ran to Ghana to hide with his friends at Achimwenchi, a suburb of Asia. Eastern South Regional Police Command, on receipt of the information that the suspect was hiding in his friend's house at Akwetia, quickly deployed an intelligence-led operations to arrest the suspect in his hideout at Achimwenchi in the Eastern region. The suspect is currently in police custody as frantic efforts are underway to hand him over to the Nigerian authorities. We assure the public of sustained operations to deal with any criminal activities in the jurisdiction. On this note, I want to advise the general public that if they see any suspicious character or group of people whose behavior they feel is not tending to good security, they should inform the Ghana Police Service in the nearby for us to be able to arrest these people.
And Yvonne, how has the local community reacted to the arrest of the fugitive in that area?
It's being a shock to them. Of course, they do know that quite a number of them are with them in the mining activities, but to have someone who have just coming, being a suspect fugitive as that, they've been thrown into a surprise state because really, brother to brother, living in your community, to have known that the police have identified you as a suspect. Well, they're just hoping that some of these fugitives will not come into the community again, because already we're dealing with antisocial vices in these communities already. And to have such a person in the community, it means that it becomes a security threat to them.
Right, many thanks for your time. Yvonne Nikwe is our Eastern Regional Correspondent, bringing us more details on the arrests of a Nigerian fugitive. Let's do some more stories now. An executive director of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, Dr. Adam Bona, has noted that enforcement of the gun amnesty program will enhance the fight against galamsey, the canker, which continues to plague the country. The gun amnesty program, which will run from December 1, 2025 to January 15, 2026, would allow individuals in possession of unregistered or illicit weapons to return them without getting prosecuted.
To fire. So basically, it is to help fight the flow and retrieve weapons in the hands of people. And you know, the amnesty has also been declared, so it's going to be effective from the 1st to the 15th of January. We are not expecting anyone to fire a weapon for celebrations. So the only people who are mandated within that period would be the security agencies. They would be the only people who are allowed to do that. And so if you say you have a festival and you pulled a weapon, you will be arrested immediately. If they don't arrest you there, we will look for you and arrest you. Because the amnesty says no firing of musketry, no pump action firing, no type of weapon should be fired. So this is the message we are passing on to everyone. And we are pleading with our traditional authorities. It's just 6 weeks. 6 weeks of some calm and taking stock of the weapons we have and ensuring that the right thing is done. I think will not kill anybody. So basically, that is what this is what has necessitated what we are doing today.
Meanwhile, the Africa Center for Security and Counter-Terrorism is urging the Ministry of the Interior to strengthen community engagement ahead of next month's National Gun Amnesty. In a statement, the center welcomed the initiative as an important step towards reducing illicit firearms, but warned that weak community trust and limited consultation could undermine its success. The center says many citizens possess unregistered weapons because of security concerns and poor police visibility in high-risk areas. It recommends pairing the amnesty with clear improvements in community policing and rapid response systems. The statement also calls for transparency in how surrendered weapons will be collected, stored and disposed of, suggesting that civil society observers be allowed to monitor the process. It further suggests early engagement with traditional leaders on the temporary ban on celebratory gunfire during festive activities. Executive Director Emmanuel Kotin says the initiative can work only if the public is assured of safety, confidentiality and fairness, stressing that effective disarmament must balance state authority with community trust. While Emmanuel Koting is a programs manager for the Africa Center for Security and Counter-Terrorism, he's joining us for more. You've emphasized a trust deficit between communities and the state. How serious is this challenge, and what specific actions should government take immediately to close that gap?
Well, thank you for having me, and very good afternoon, and happy Sunday as always to our cherished listeners. In fact, I'm the executive director of the organization, not the programs manager. In fact, let me greet my good brother, Dr. Bona. In fact, we welcome government initiative. As you mentioned, we feel it is the first critical steps, but not the panacea to addressing the proliferation of these illicit weapons in our hands today. In fact, we believe that for this program to be successful, government needs to engage the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? You have to look at who this policy directly impacts, and that is the good people of this country. And how do you get through the good people of this country? You know, by the makeup of our society, we have very strategic groups who attempt the intermediaries, who kind of can turn government policy into actions. And these are the chiefs, religious leaders, youth leaders, And if you look at our community policing policy, we have what we call these community policing committees. If you don't engage them, it will not work. And I can appreciate the challenge my good brother Adambona is going through. We were thinking that by the introduction of the ban of the use of weapons during festivals and things, if government has seriously engaged the chiefs, they can drum this information or message to their people.
Right.
And government could use that as a window of opportunity, as an entry point for this amnesty. Don't forget that we did this in 2016. What was the success rate? Where were some of the challenges? Have we factored those things? And in this country, we always come out with good policies, but the implementation is always a challenge. And I dare say that until government put the plug on the timelines they have given and done some form of engagement with the stakeholders, this is not going to be a success.
Right.
I got messages and calls from the commission that they have started some form of engagement with the stakeholders. But my sister, let me ask you, you are in the media. Programs of this nature, it hinges on two things: the need to know and education. Who are the best people to better champion these policies to the good people of this country? I was expecting that we'll see some kind of campaigns on our TVs, radio stations, apart from the traditional engagement. Where are the crucial aspect of it? We do a national lunch where the president will be the guest of honor to show the seriousness government attached to this existential threat confronting everybody today.
Well,
I say existential threat because the number of illicit weapons in the hands of civilians in this country are one too many. And if you look at the effect of it, it is not only you say you play politics with it because you don't know who can fall a victim to this kind of menace. So I think that it is not too late. It's a good initiative and policy, but until we do the needful. And there's one angle we didn't even look at. Has government taken the pain to engage the stakeholders to find out why some people are keeping these illicit weapons? The truth of the matter is that some of these people are keeping these weapons because of the gaps in our security architecture.
Right.
So for their safety and security, they are keeping these weapons. What assurances, what guarantees are government giving to these people such that they will be willing to give out their weapons?
Now, Mr. Kosi, let me come in here. Let me come in here. Your statement is calling for transparency in the gun surrender process, right? And we know that the ministry, as well as the Small Arms Commission, they're in charge of implementing this amnesty. What exactly would you want them to publicly clarify before the amnesty begins?
Mostly there should be some protocols as to how the weapons will be collected, stored, and disposed of. And confidentiality matters. How the confidentiality of people who are surrounded their weapons will be guaranteed. In many cases, and in many scenarios we've seen around, particularly in Africa and this armed amnesty, many unscrupulous government agencies use that as a form of intelligence gathering.
Right.
And these are documented things that are public knowledge. That is why those guarantees should have been part of the communique from the Interior Minister to give that assurance. It's a good policy. There's no two ways about that. But the time frame and the issue of cohesive force, the threats, we don't do that in armed amnesty. In a democracy, when you are doing armed amnesty, you persuade the people. You make them own the process. You make them understand why these arms are a threat to everybody. Look at the proliferation of ethnic conflict around the country. Look at the chieftaincy conflicts we have around the country. Look at the armed robbery we have around the country. It affects everybody. So just imagine that you give a blanket order that you are going to start this amnesty from this period to that period. If you don't do that, when we arrest you, you'll be prosecuted. If it was that easy, we would have used our state agencies to get rid of these arms from our system. And I also want to plead with government that it has to treat the commission with all the necessary resources it can give it. Because one thing I see at the commission is that they lack the resources to do some of the things they want to do. And I say this on authority because I want to challenge the commission to come out with a budgetary allocation for this important exercise. And it's about time as a country we have a communication about transitioning this commission into an authority such that it can have prosecutorial authority or powers.
And briefly, before you go, you spoke about the amount of armed robbery cases we've been seeing. And in your statement, you also stated that, of course, people are keeping these weapons because they fear inadequate police protection. What exactly do you want to see? What action do you want to see from the police, paired with the amnesty, to reassure the public going forward?
So we talk about things like what is the police response rate when crimes do occur. Is very critical to civilians or citizens, okay? What are police visibility? What is the trust level between citizens and the police? So you realize that these factors make certain individuals bear these weapons for their personal security and safety. So if you don't engage with them, you will never be able to know some of the underlying conditions giving rise to their bearing these weapons in the first place. Don't forget, in armed amnesty, it is a dialogue. You want to dialogue with the stakeholders for them to understand that this is a very big issue or challenge that has gone beyond government and everybody's hands is needed on deck for all of us personal safety and security. So I think that the government should use the persuasion angle than the threats of prosecution and things like that. It's not that easy going that route.
Many thanks for your time. Emmanuel Korting has been joining us on this issue of amnesty. Of course, he is Executive Director for the Africa Center for Security and Counter-Terrorism. Now let's do some more stories on the 2026 national budget. Allocated 150 million cedis to NIMOS to boost the fight against illegal mining. Recent attacks on personnel of NIMOS and other state agencies tackling the illegal mining fight by environmental terrorists demonstrates that more effective strategies are required urgently to deal with the canker. There's more in this report.
Government in the 2026 budget allocated 150 million cedis to NIMOS for their operations.
Government is also protecting Ghana's forests, rivers and mineral wealth. So, Speaker, key water bodies and forest reserves have been declared high security zones, with 1,000 officers deployed and real-time tracking of mining equipment by Minerals Commission has been instituted. We are working with traditional leaders and communities to reclaim degraded land and restore ecosystems. The Speaker, in 2026, government will partner with private sector to reclaim 10,000 hectares using fast-growing tree species. We have allocated 150 million Ghana cedis for the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, for the activities against illegal mining and forest degradation.
The fight against illegal mining is getting more dangerous with recent attacks on the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat NIMOS team on Saturday, November 1, by irate youth and illegal miners at Shridium in the Ahafo region. Days later, illegal miners attacked an Environmental Protection Agency EPA team accompanied by journalist near Obuasi, leading to a road accident that injured several people. And on 19th November, one member of the NIMOS task force died after an operational vehicle was involved in an accident at Obuasi in the Ashanti region. These incidents, as well as others, have led to renewed calls for drastic action in the illegal mining fight to protect personnel involved in the fight. Western Regional Head of the Forestry Commission, Nana Poku Busumpem, who spoke on the key point, noted that the time has come for the Commission to be adequately resourced to fight illegal miners.
During confrontation, one of our officers was shot in the tummy. Thankfully, he survived. In fact, when he was taken to hospital, about 30 or so pellets were taken from the stomach. The real heroes, the unsung heroes of this fight against illegal mining and other illegal activities in the forest reserves have been the resource guards, the rapid response team, the range officers who are fighting daily. We don't know Saturday, we don't know Sunday like I said here today. We need to protect these officers. We need to retool them. In fact, when we see a group of forest guards, 40 of them, well clothed in their protective helmet, in their protective bulletproof vests, with proper weapons, not just pump action, because pump action is common. The miners also have it, but proper weapons that can go 300 meters, 400 meters. I believe our mere appearance in itself will be a deterrent.
For the coordinator of eco-conscious citizens, Awula Sewa, the fight against illegal mining should involve community members and activists.
We are facing an existential threat. We are being poisoned. There's environmental terrorism going on. So we need to see the political will to deal with it. And an aspect of the political will is properly resourcing those who are fighting against it. And I have to put on record that we cannot alienate communities. If we really are interested, if we really want to end environmental terrorism, then we have to work hand in hand with the communities that are doing their best to fight it. And then we must also have key performance indicators. So if there's illegal mining going on, we need to find out what is the political authority doing? What are the chiefs doing? What is the police doing? If we can't find out what they are doing, they're unable to deal with, then maybe other persons may need to replace them.
She also called for adequate resourcing of agencies in the fight. Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu urged government to rethink the increasing deployment of military personnel for internal security operations.
I would say, you see, the fixation with the military, let's reduce it. Let's emphasize on allowing the police to do their work. The police service has specialized policemen for such duties, so we would not encourage usurping the powers of the police service. No, remember when IG sent his men in, they were doing quite a good job, and then, but they said that the police didn't know which ones were the legal concessions. That was all, but they didn't say it's about capacity. So please, let's go slow on the using military.
Speaking on the key point on November 22, Pebu said the country risked ceding the powers and constitutional role of the police if state actors continue to prioritize military intervention in matters that fall under regular law enforcement. Policy analyst and lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Joshua Zato, accused the government of adopting a cosmetic approach to the fight against illegal mining.
If you are one of those that sit on national TV or anywhere and say that this government has demonstrated strong political will to fight in Galamsey, you've been misled and you've been scammed. Everything that this government has done shows that it is only been cosmetic. The normative aspect of political will are the political shenanigans that we see. A law has been passed, the law has been signed, statements have been made, we've seen that. If that is what is political will, then this government is excellent. But if political will goes to the empirical aspect of political will, where when you talk about political will, you're talking about following up on the rhetoric, providing logistics, providing what is needed to solve it, this government has been abysmal and pathetic when it comes to the Galamsey fight.
There is a growing consensus that tackling Galamsey effectively will require adequate funding, active community participation, stronger institutional capacity, and a stronger political will. With the year coming to an end and a new year starting in a few weeks, the public is waiting to see how the government will deal differently with the Galamsey fight moving forward. The future of the next generation depends on the actions taken to fight the menace today.
Indeed, the future of the next generation depends on our fight today. You're still watching Weekend Central. We're going for our very first break. We'll be back with more news. Don't go away.
But until unemployment finds a lasting solution, many fear tragedies like this could happen again. Aisha Yakubu Khalid, TV3 News, Accra.
And hopefully such a tragedy does not ever happen again in this country. Let's do some more stories. On the Ghana Boundary Commission says the introduction of drones and cutting-edge geospatial mapping tools in border security will ensure better management of the country's international boundaries. The Commissioner General, Brigadier General Anthony Ntem, said the drones will capture accurate data and produce detailed three-dimensional digital models, effectively creating a digital twin of Ghana's borders.
The two-day orientation, which began as a basic introduction to drone technology, has now evolved into what participants say has been a shared journey of discovery, collaboration, and hands-on skill building. In his remarks, the Director General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Brigadier General Anthony Ntem, emphasized the need for modern approaches to improve accuracy, efficiency, and reliability in managing international boundaries.
In an era defined by digital precision, we cannot afford to manage our sovereign borders with analog uncertainty, and this should end. The catalyst for this change is the drone, and it is not merely about taking area photographs. It is about deploying powerful data collection platforms that provides an objective, irrefutable record of the terrain. With drones, we can capture centimeter accurate data, creating a high-resolution, three-dimensional digital twin of our borders. This digital record is permanent, verifiable, and withstands the test of time.
Brigadier General Anthony Ntem added that the Ghana Boundary Commission plans to expand this initiative by offering intensive training for interested participants from across the continent. The training will focus not only on drones but also on a range of modern technologies for international boundary management.
We can now conduct repeat surveys annually and seasonally to precisely measure erosion, track a river's meander, and monitor the changes that threaten our territorial integrity.
The Ghana Boundary Commission believes these innovations will strengthen border security, improve accuracy in demarcation, and support peaceful and well-managed boundaries across the region. The Ghana Boundary Commission's vision is to ensure that Ghana's land, maritime, and air boundaries are effectively secured and managed within the framework of international law.
Now, Parliament is under pressure to weigh whether to approve a revised lithium mining agreement. Now, with major terms altered after a sharp fall in global prices, the House must now decide, does this new deal serve Ghana's best interests? Grace Hamwajiman reports.
When the government of Ghana signed a mining lease with Barari BV Ghana Limited in October 2023 to develop the country's first lithium mine in Ewoya in the central region, it was touted as a major step forward for Ghana's entry into the global green minerals race. The deal offered Ghana 10% royalty and 13% carried interest, a significant departure from the standard 5% royalty and 10% carried interest offered in most mining contracts. Fast forward in 2025, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofibua, has presented a revised lithium mining agreement to Parliament for approval, citing a sharp decline in global lithium prices from about $3,000 per ton to around $630.
We took advantage of, at the time, the high lithium prices of 3,000 to, for example, move beyond the normal royalty of 5% and move it to 10% and other provisions. Based on their request, 3 key areas has been looked at, and that called for us to look at the new lease. The new lease has been negotiated, sent to Cabinet for approval, and we are here in Parliament to get ratification in accordance with Article 268.
But a former member of the Council of State, Samuel Okujeto, says Parliament should proceed with caution and negotiate in the interest of Ghana.
Let us tell whoever is signing this document, and I don't even want to condemn our MPs, we will caution them and advise them to do what is what? Right. What is in the interest of Ghana.
The three key areas of the deal which have been revised include royalty, which has been adjusted to 5% instead of the initial 10%. Also, VAT on capital input and the feasibility of the Salpon transshipment facility. The question then is, with all of these variables on the table, should Parliament ratify this contract?
Parliament should ratify it, but you see, when they are varying the fiscal terms, they should do a sliding scale rather than a fixed rate. We used to have that arrangement in the gold sector, where it was a range between 3% and 6%. So when the prices are good, then the companies will pay more. When the prices fall, then they pay less. So that it becomes a win-win for the resource owner and the company as well. The lithium contract that was actually negotiated by the MPP was not a bad one. But I'm not in support of a fixed rate. I'm hearing 5%. That won't be a good one.
Some analysts say the absence of a framework or policy to guide minerals exploitation in the country will always result in this back and forth.
There should be Ghana's policy on the exploitation. I like the word exploitation because it means you have it and you are now making the most of it. Yes, so the extraction, the processing, the production, the manufacture, everything. There should be a policy that is declared so that any agreement that's going to be signed or ratified henceforth must at least have a particular framework which is a far departure from the colonial structure.
The debate on Ghana's first lithium mine is now on the front burner. Parliament will now have to decide whether to go ahead and ratify the contract or hold on until global prices appreciate. Grace Hamwa Ajaman, TV3 News, Accra.
Oh, this is Weekend Central. We're going for another break. We'll be back with more news. Don't go away.
So, and for that matter, Western North region. Looking at how the cocoa is declining, it's about time we bring experts on board, those who have knowledge in this cocoa industry, so that we can all chart a new path for the cocoa industry in our region, and for this matter, especially also municipality. We hope that it wouldn't end here. Every year, we are hoping to have this conversation, so that we can actually exploit all the opportunities there in the cocoa sector, so that we who happen to be the larger contributor in this industry will benefit wholly, and not that it continue to be as it is now. Now, the fact and statistics state that also we have actually declined in terms of in production and our record achievement in regards to the rank. I mean, the region at large, we are not actually seen on top there. And so it's about time we have this conversation. And
Cocoa City and its experience is an initiative by the administration in Sevier also currently to look at where we have come from as a cocoa growing community, a community that has benefited so much from cocoa in the past, and where we stand as far as cocoa is concerned. We know that cocoa is the backbone of our economy, and once you talk about cocoa in Ghana, you cannot take Sevier also as. The situation of cocoa here has become different from what we came to see. It's all about a lot of factors, one of which we think is about the involvement of the youth, and that it's obvious what our forefathers bequeathed to us has not become so much of interest to us, to the extent that we all do not want to go into cocoa. We think there's a solution, there's a way out. That is how we can ignite the youth to go into it. The reason we have found is that the benefits we saw our forefathers deriving from cocoa has ever since been the same in spite of all the changing factors in the world. So we are looking at so many other means by which cocoa can be beneficial to our people to entice the youth to go into it. And it's obvious, if we continue to do cocoa in Selby by just farming and selling the raw beans, we think our people will not be going into it.
Meanwhile, Cocoa Board, as part of efforts to empower more youth in cocoa production, has put in place incentives for youth interested in cocoa production. Ino Kampofo is the Western North Regional Administrative Officer for Cocoa Board.
So what Cocoa Board is doing to motivate the youth into coming into production of cocoa or cocoa farming is that Cocoa is always ready to assist ever-ready youth with land by getting in touch with traditional rulers for land acquisition. Cocoa Board is always ready to do that. Cocoa Board is ready to assist interested youth with the provision of, let's call them inputs like seedlings, like fertilizer, inputs for cocoa farms in general. Cocoa Board is ready to assist the youth with productivity enhancement interventions. So when you have your farm, we talk of pruning, we talk of rehabilitation. Okay.
And that's all we have for you for Weekend Central for today right here on TV3. My name is Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you this afternoon. Do stay tuned for the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.